Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Bridge, and Maresca has finally admitted to his mistakes, and I hope that they won't be repeated. So welcome to my match preview for the match against Bournemouth. So let's get into it. So Maresca, I think he was watching my video that I made of our review against Leeds, because a few of the things I addressed were he mentioned in his press conference when quizzed, and one of the things he said, which I want to reiterate, I said experience is not about age, it's about being there, done it, worn the t-shirt. So and I said you could be 22 or 23, but an experienced player because you've played in 2 or 3 major finals. You've won the league at your club. Wayne Rooney, for instance, was an experienced player at the age of 22, 23 because at that age he had won 2 or 3 titles at Manchester United. He had been involved in cup finals. He knew what it takes to win big trophies. So it's not about age. Tosin, for instance, because he mentioned Tosin, he said, threw him under the bus a bit, rightly so, in my opinion. Just diverting away, Tosin deserves criticism. He doesn't deserve abuse, but I've seen a lot of people abusing him online. I don't think that's acceptable. To say he didn't have a good game, to say he's not up to the Chelsea standard or quality, that's fine. But when you're starting to paint him in clown faces and doing all sorts of stuff, then that's just a little bit childish as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, so he said about Tosin, he said, was he good on Wednesday? No, he wasn't. Has he been good any time he's played for us? Probably against Burnley, but in most games he's been at fault. I think someone did a stat where in 3 games he's played in, we've conceded 8 goals, and in the 6 games he hasn't played in, we've conceded 1 goal, something like that. So you can see that he's part of the problem, especially in defence. And that's what I'm saying, because Tosin, what's he won in his career? He was at Fulham. Fulham hasn't won anything. He didn't really play any matches for Manchester City when he was there. He wasn't involved in the first team setup, so you can't really include him in that. So he's not one who's going to know what it takes to win big trophies. So he's not one who's going to know what it takes to, when we play against your Leeds and places like that, he's going to galvanise the team. Even when you have to concentrate on your own game, it's harder for you to galvanise others. So and so he did say about that, obviously, that I mentioned obviously in the match review, and something else about Josh. Because I said, play Josh. Why are you not playing Josh? And he said in hindsight he wished he'd played Josh. But he says that a lot. He says Josh is ready to play. He's a good player. He said it after the Palace game, only to discard him. There were rumours that Josh was put in the transfer request. I don't believe it. I think it's just people causing mischief. But I wouldn't blame him, because if you're seeing someone like Tosin ahead of you in the squad, in the team, you're thinking, hold on, what do I have to do? If it's Fofana and other players who are at this moment a bit better than Josh, then you can understand. But when he's up against players who are not at his level, even at his age, then questions have got to be asked. What I didn't agree with Maresca in was when he said about the reasons for not playing Josh Acheampong. He said because he looked at Leeds and he saw that Leeds are 2 big attackers who were physical, so he wanted a physical battle. But in my opinion, he wants defenders, you can combat that for the physicality. But in my opinion, Josh is better at combating physical players than Tosin. Tosin's been bullied a lot this season. I saw it against Sunderland. I've seen it against other teams where he's been bullied. I saw, Mateta is at Crystal Palace, big physical beast. He was handled by Josh. Okay, the only time I've seen Josh get bullied a bit was Semenya last season against Bournemouth, who coincidentally are the team that we're going to be playing at the weekend. But apart from that, I think he's handled himself physically this season. Every time he's played this season, I think he hasn't really let us. I think the game against Brighton, He was a little bit dodgy in that game, but apart from that, he's been okay. You're not going to get performances week in, week out from him, because of his age. But one thing you will get is he will learn from his mistakes, and that's what I'm saying. If it's a young player making mistakes, I don't mind it. But when you're 27 and making mistakes, then that's in your DNA. You're not going to get rid of it at that age. And basic errors I'm talking about, because everyone makes the mistakes, even older players. But I'm talking about basic errors week in, week out. Then there's something wrong with your game. So the thing is, Maresca, we got Bournemouth, as I said, on Saturday. We can see whether he's learned, because Bournemouth play with the same sort of intensity as Leeds United, and so we need to see whether he's learnt from his mistakes and whether he can correct those issues. And one of the issues, I think, is the problems that he does is too much rotation, especially in the defence, and he's turned into a bit of a tinker man, just like Ranieri was at the time at Chelsea. Ranieri, Maresca reminds me a lot of Ranieri, thinking about it. Ranieri was great at developing players. He was the one who developed the likes of Frank Lampard and John Terry. But Mourinho took them to the next level. He made them into beasts, into winners. And at the moment, as Maresca got that, is he the manager to turn these players into winners? Not sure. I don't know. Could be wrong, but I don't know. And for me, when you look at things, he needs to, as I said, learn fast and make adjustments. And one of the things I said, play your best players. I know, as I said, it's quite difficult with the fragility of Reece James and Fofana, but they could have got away with maybe playing one against Leeds and playing the other one against Bournemouth. But when you're losing those two as well as Caicedo, then there's a massive hole in the team. And I understand with Reece James, but he's done it for England. He's played 2 games in a row for England before. So I think sometimes we can be overcautious in the way that we're dealing with our players. But as I said in my review, I'm not in the medical staff. I don't know Reece James's body. So again, I can't be too critical, because so a lot of people talk like they know what's best for people without any inside knowledge. I haven't got the inside knowledge, so I am just going to give him a pass on that one. But the other thing I want to talk about is overthinking the opposition. Play to your strengths. He picked a team looking at what Leeds were doing with 2 powerful strikers up front. But if we attack is the best form of defence, as I keep saying, by putting in an extra defender with that added height, he's messing up the dynamics of the team, because Chalabar's been decent as a centre back. He's put him at a right back role. He's put in Badiashile, who's looked a bit rusty the other day. Put in Acheampong in that place. Leave Chalabar where he was performing well. And Acheampong can invert in as well. Acheampong's played right back in the youth setup, so put him, and he can add a little bit going forward as well. Because we had nobody who was sort of doing those bursting wrong runs like Acheampong can do, breaking the lines by carrying the ball out of this defence. No ball carriers were just regurgitating the ball, passing it sideways and backwards, and inviting pressure on against Leeds United. So, so tomorrow is going to see what he's learned. And we have into that disastrous December for Chelsea. I call it the DD, so it's DD day for Chelsea. Hopefully it's not a disastrous day again, but a day where we can then get back onto the saddle. As I said, I always said we're not Champions League, we're not Champions League, we're not Premier League challengers, title challengers this season. I always knew it anyway, so a lot of people who were lulled into that false sense of security, I don't know, more fool them, I say. and it was a lot of the press saying it as well. I think, to be fair, I'd see a lot of our fan base saying it. It's a lot of the press were saying it, and as soon as we have a bad result, they say, "Oh, Chelsea are not ready yet." But who said they're ready? A lot of us were. Some of our delusional fan base were thinking that we're ready, but those with their heads screwed on would know that we're not quite ready to make a challenge, because we know that we're not consistent enough. But anyway, it'll still be good to close the gap. That's all I wanted this season, is to close the gap from what we did from last season, to try and be within 6-7 points of the league till the end, and that will stand us in good stead for next season. But what the game against Leeds did show is that our squad isn't strong enough. When vital players are out, we haven't got that personality or that strength to compete. Our manager did say we paid the price as well for playing with 10 men against Arsenal. That was a energy sapping performance, but what other teams, Arsenal, they keep the same team week in, week out to develop a relationship, to develop a synergy, and it's only little tweaks here and there. Sometimes one player out and one player in. So I know their situation's different because their players are less fragile than ours, although Saliba does get a few injuries, but not as bad as like Fofana has been out. So their situation's slightly different, but even so, let's just try and not make too many changes in the future. Let's get back to winning ways against Bournemouth. Onwards and upwards, up the Blues, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.